Hey guys, and welcome to another video. This is going to be my preview video for the Gfinity Elite Series Season 3, which is kicking off tomorrow if you're watching this video the day that it dropped. But if you aren't, then don't worry, there will be another 7 weeks of Season 3 beyond this one, and plenty of Rocket League to be enjoyed therein. If you're already familiar with Gfinity and their work in the competitive Rocket League community, then you're no doubt already excited for Season 3 of the Elite Series to begin. But if you aren't, then stick around for a few minutes and maybe I can persuade you to be. So what is the Elite Series? Well, it's a live streamed event from the Gfinity Arena in London. 10 teams will be competing for their share of £25,000, which is around $35,000, for the next 8 weeks. And in this video, I'll be taking a look at these teams and giving some of my predictions for how well I expect them to perform over the course of the season. So that's 10 teams, 2 groups, 8 weeks, 2 defending Elite Series champions, 2 former RLCS Grand finalists, even 1 former RLCS World Champion. Oh, and yeah, I'll be casting as well, so hopefully you guys are okay with that. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at the format for Season 3. So this is the graphic that Gfinity have released to help explain the format. Like I said, 10 teams and 2 groups, so that's what we have on the left here. We've got Group A and B. And I'll show what teams are in what group in just a bit. But first of all, let's take a look at how the teams progress through the season. So there's 5 weeks of league play, with every team getting 1 bye week, and in the other week they'll play one of the other teams in their group. In group stage, the teams won't be playing each other, or teams from the other groups. They'll only be playing the team in their group. And then the top 3 teams in each group after 5 weeks of league play will progress to the playoffs. The winners of the group will just get a bye straight into the finals week. And the second place and third place from each group will play the third place and second place from the other group, respectively. So that's how we get to the finals week. We'll have the qualifier, or this is quarterfinal 1 winner against the Group A winner, and quarterfinal 2 winner against Group B winner, and the winner of that will be in the grand finals. Now, I think it's said somewhere in this document that there's going to be 5 weeks of league play, 2 weeks of playoffs and 1 week of finals, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually this is 5 weeks, this is 1 week, because there's just 2 matchups here, these two, quarter 1 and quarter 2, and then if the semis is on another week and the grand finals is another week. I think that's how it's going to go down, but I might be wrong. So let's take another scroll through here. Wait, here it is. Okay, so this is the groups that's going to be in Gfinity Elite Series Season 3. Some of these teams you guys will be familiar with already, the likes of Fnatic and Method, Vitality, Envy, even Excel. These are all names that we should know if you've been following Rocket League competitive for a while. But there's some new ones: Hashtag United, Unilad, Ares, Nordavind, Epsilon. They're a returning Gfinity Elite Series team, but they've got a brand new roster. So I'll explain all of the new players and how I think they're going to do in just a minute. But that's the groups. So this is where I got this from, just so you know. I didn't just make this up. There has been an official document released by Gfinity, and that's the groups that they've decided to put these teams in. And that is the groups for every game of the Gfinity Elite Series. There's also Street Fighter and FIFA. So these franchises are going to be competing against each other in every game, and then the franchise that does the best across all games also gets an additional £25,000. There's £100,000 being won across all 3 of the games, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to reveal one by one my teams in reverse order of how I rank them. So starting off, I'll reveal my lowest ranked team right now, and that is Unilad in 10th place. So I've got these guys in 10th. They're part of Group B. That's why I wanted to just click on this now to show you how this is going to work. So as I reveal more teams, they will either appear above Unilad, or they'll appear at the bottom of Group A, and then so on and so on. With and you know, they'll have my rank of where I put beside their name, and the players that play for that team on the other side. So that's how this is going to work. But yeah, Unilad, new team for the Gfinity Elite Series, new organization, and they're the only team who have a drafted player as a starter. That is Speed. He's the most accomplished player on this lineup, though, so it's not a surprise to me. However, they're going to need to really pull themselves together, because they're coming in as a late addition here, and the other teams that they're facing have had a lot more practice together, so they're, I think, going to struggle quite a bit, and that's why I've got them at 10th seed, and the lowest seed in Group B, which, you know, they could make some upsets. The good thing is that there's really no disappointment here. Like, they know that they're the underdogs, so if they get a series win, or even if they can take 2 games in a series, because it's all best of 5s in a Gfinity. If you take 2 games in a best of 5, you get 1 point. So, you know, that would be a win. That would be a small win for them if they can just get some game wins, maybe get 2 wins, maybe a series. Who knows? This will be a big learning curve, I'm sure, for them, and a big experience, no doubt. Alright, so my 9th seeded team, this is all my rankings, by the way, this isn't Gfinity seedings, this is just how I rank the teams. But I've got Nordavind. They are the lowest in Group A for me. Regan MJ Walls and Etrex, all I believe Norwegian players, which is pretty cool. A national team coming in here, and they're going to be the underdogs for Group A. They've got a little bit more experience playing together than Unilad, which is why I put them above Unilad in the rankings. But that, you know, 9th, 10th, that shouldn't really matter. The only way that would really be interesting is if both of them somehow make top 3 in their groups and then they run into each other. Like, let's say one of them finished 2nd in Group B, or in their group, and the other finished 3rd, then they would run into each other in the playoffs, and then we'd get to see if Nordavind really are better than Unilad, like I think they are. But yeah, this isn't likely to be a matchup that we see this season. These guys are the underdogs of their respective groups. Anyway, let's move on to my 8th seed, and that is going to be Epsilon. Now, Epsilon are a team. The organization Epsilon came 2nd in Gfinity Elite Series Season 1. And then in Gfinity Elite Series Season 2, I think they came 7th place in the league, so they didn't do anywhere near as well in season 2. But this is a brand new team for them. They've got D7, Faco, and Pugsy, who are a team that have been playing together for a while, and I think that I rank them above Nordavind and Unilad just because I know they have been taking some series off some decent teams here and there. But I can't put them any higher than 8th just because all of the other teams in the Elite Series either have Elite Series experience or RLCS experience, and both of those 2 things are going to be far more valuable than online tournament experience. So that's why I've got these guys at 8th. But they're, you know, definitely a fair bit above Unilad just because of the synergy that they have inherently. Alright, now on to number 7. This is actually where things get quite interesting. So I've got #United at number 7, and these guys are new to Rocket League as an organization, but the players are not. Data, Doomsy, Flarkey are all players that have been in the Gfinity Elite Series for both of the seasons before now. Doomsy winning the league portion of Season 1 before flopping in playoffs, and Data even making the playoff finals, the grand finals in Season 1. So they've both had success in the Elite Series before. Flarkey has not himself had individual success, but this is his dream team. These guys really wanted to play together, and if they can practice really, really hard, I can see them doing well. This is a very, very close Group A in the middle, and although I've got them at 4th best in Group A and 7th best in the league starting off, I wouldn't be surprised if they could squeak in to top 3 and make a playoff run. It would be very interesting to see that. Now, number 6, another interesting one. This is probably the hardest one to place, and it's Excel they're an RLCS team. Recently picked up Marky Duda. They've got Marky in for Zensas, who was there last season. Niels, Pondix, and Zensas are a team that were almost top 4 in RLCS Season 4 league play in Europe. I say almost because they were top 4, then they lost in the last week, dropping to 5th, and then they lost in their first playoff match, so they didn't make LAN. But they were, you know, 1 series away from LAN one time. However, that same team came 6th place in the Elite Series Season 2. They did not do well at the Elite Series. I don't know why they struggle so much. That's Niels, Pondix, and formerly Zensas. But 2 seasons in a row, Niels and Zensas just couldn't get their act together. And even the addition of Pondix in Season 2, which was a big upgrade, they just couldn't make it work. And I think it might just be their personalities. They don't gel very well on stage, or they don't work very well, I should say, maybe on stage. And that's why it's going to be interesting to see how well they could do with Marky Duda stepping in. Will he be able to elevate them and make them play better? I don't know, but I have them ahead of #United. Only just. I could swap these teams. I thought about putting them tied, but I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that every video. Just have people tied. I've got to make a decision, and I think if it comes down to it, the sort of, you know, pedigree that Marky brings to the team, that confidence and that in-game leadership is going to be a step above what anyone else on the field can bring to the table. So that's why I've given them the edge in that matchup. That could be a huge matchup though. Excel versus #, the winner of that could be knocking the other out of the playoffs. Just that, as simple as that. Alright, so number 5, we're actually sticking in Group A. I've got Envy in at 2nd place for Group A, but 5th overall in the Elite Series. So that kind of shows you how like tight this is in the middle, the NVXL hashtag group. They're all very, very close in the middle of Group A. I could see that these matchups being the closest in the entire series for Season 3. But the reason I put Envy above both Excel and hashtag, in my estimation, is because they've decided to field Ignite. And he's a player who's been dominating the Elite Series statistically for 2 seasons now. First for Team Infused, and then for Prophecy. He's just on fire, and that's why he's been picked up by Envy, not just for the Elite Series but also for RLCS in place of Greasy. So he's really the player to watch right now in this tournament. I think he could pop off, and if anybody's gonna be able to upset my number 1 seed of Group A, I think it'll be Envy, just because Ignite has that potential to carry a team to victory. Mountain Waffle, by the way, I finished 5th place in both of the previous Elite Series as well, so they are experienced players. They have had almost success in both of the Elite Series thus far, almost making playoffs both times. The difference is this time I think they're going to get 5th again, or the 5th best team overall, but that is good enough to get into playoffs. You need top 6 for playoffs this time, not top 4. So I think they're going to make the cut this time. We're going over to Group B now for my 4th best team, and that's going to be Ares with Cheerio and Tinny, the Season 1 defending or returning champions. And also Sebedam. They picked up Sebedam in place of Shakaron, and this is a very interesting team because every single season Cheerio and Tinny get underestimated, and people don't think that they're going to make playoffs. People think that they're just going to get knocked down to the bottom of the table. And not only have they made playoffs both seasons thus far, but they've been finalists both seasons, and they only lost Season 2 by a single game against the undefeated Reason Gaming that season. So I'm not going to underestimate them again. I've got them as my 4th best team. I think they're definitely going to make playoffs just because the 2 teams below them there, Epsilon and Unilad, don't have the experience. It is worth mentioning though that especially Epsilon, they can just come in here, and if they have confidence and if they just relax, if they just play like very well mechanically, because I know they can, then they could upset Ares, because Ares, that lineup is a list of players who have been known to play worse against teams that they consider themselves better than, and then they really step up when they're the underdogs. So you never know. If Ares versus Epsilon is the matchup for a playoff spot late in the season, then that could be a really good thing for Epsilon going in as the underdogs. Number 3, we're staying in Group B, and it's going to be Method. But don't get I'll start that again. Don't get this confused with the Method, which came 2nd at RLCS Season 4. That roster has moved to Complexity, and Method, the organization, have picked up the Season 2, or the Gfinity Elite Series Season 2 champions Burrito B and Rick Sharonde, and they've snagged them, and they've also taken Shakaron on board, who was the Elite Series Season 1 champion with Tinny and Cheerio. So they've got 3 former Elite Series champions in here. That's why I've put them as my 3rd best team, just because they have the experience, they've played on this stage before, it's got to feel like home by now. And Burrito B and Ricks dominated the league play last season. I think that if they don't make playoffs, that's a huge surprise. They're super likely to make playoffs in my opinion, just because of how well they did in the league play. They were a lot better than Ares players when I'm looking at Tinny, Cheerio. Compare them to Burrito and Ricks. Burrito and Ricks were better at beating teams that they're expected to beat. They were just getting the job done against everybody, and where Tinny and Cheerio were making a bit more of a meal of it sometimes. So that's why I've got them above Ares, although it is still a closer one. Not as close as the middle of Group A, but still a pretty close one. Alright, so 2nd place for me, and I've left the 2 RLCS, or the 2 big dogs from RLCS, to last, of course, even though neither of these teams have any experience in the Elite Series going into this. I just have to make them top 2 because they're so good on paper. It is worth mentioning though that didn't work out for Niels and Pondix in Season 2, so you never know. This could be my most incorrect prediction, but it's going to be Fnatic as my number 2 team. We've got that 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I think the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best teams of the Elite Series are all in the same group, and the 5th, 6th, 7th are all in the same group as well, just on opposite sides. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. Should be a lot of close games. Fnatic, for anybody who doesn't know, is Maestro, Siki, and Snasky, but I've put Lottie in there as well, just because I know that these guys might run substitute Lottie for some of their games. Maestro is a player in the past who's taken weeks off RLCS and even missed events. just to focus on school. And since Gfinity Elite Series is a LAN, I wouldn't be surprised to see that happening again. This is all my own prediction. I don't have any confirmation on that. But I also list Lottie there because I know he is a fantastic player. He is definitely capable of playing at the highest level in Europe and certainly the world. The only question mark for him is, can he do that at the Elite Series? Because plenty of world-class players have come to the Elite Series and not played very well. The likes of Devo, Nielskog, EU MVP of RLCS Season 4. These guys, they haven't yet played well at the Elite Series. And, you know, we've got Marky Duda coming in now. We've got Siki, Snasky, all these legendary players, Maestro possibly. Are they going to be able to perform on that stage? That's a big question mark. But until now, I have to put them at number 1 just because they've got that star quality. I'm just based on previous players failing to show up on the stage. I can't just base I can't put them low just based on that. I trust these guys to get the job done. Number 1 though is going to be Vitality. That is the former Mocket roster of Fairy Peak, Freaky and Pashy. They've just kept the same team since RLCS Season 4. And yeah, I can't not put these guys number 1. They've got just as much star quality on that team as Fnatic do on theirs. The difference being that they have also recent tournament results to prove that they can compete at the highest level, where they were able to take 3rd place at E-League and 3rd place at DreamHack Leipzig. So these guys are on fire. One of the best teams in the world, not just in the Elite Series, and it's going to be really fun to watch them playing in person every week. Of course, all eyes are on Fairy Peak. Can he make a case, a stronger case for himself, not just as the best player in Europe, but the best player in the world? That's something I'm going to be paying close attention to. But yeah, that's my list of groups and how I think that they're going to go. I think if I had to pick one team from my lower rankings that could be the dark horse, I would say Epsilon. Those guys I know they can be very, very solid mechanically, and if they can just show up and be confident, they could be the next sort of Burrito and Rick's Ronde combo that just comes in with nobody expecting anything from them, and then they end up dominating. You know, Epsilon are my dark horse, and my team that might just flop, the team that I've ranked really high, that could flop. I have to say Fnatic. Just because they've flopped in the past, they've been inconsistent in the past. They did that. They failed to qualify for RLCS season 4, and they had to go through RLRS. But you never know. They could be solid here. That's the thing with Fnatic. You just really don't know who's going to show up. Are they going to be world beaters, or are they going to just lose to somebody they should never lose to? But that's my group layout. Going into playoffs, that means that I expect Fnatic and Vitality to top their groups and get the bye into the semi-finals a week. And Envy will play Ares, which is a matchup that, although I've given Ares the edge there over Envy, that would be a really interesting one. That's so difficult. My third best team in Group B, but my 4th best team overall, going up against my 2nd best team in Group A, but my 5th best team overall. That's a tough one. That's really, really tough. In the other one, Method versus Excel, that's also equally tough because we all know how good Marky can be in playoffs, and if they just start popping off and get any momentum, it could be curtains for Method. So both those matchups, they really could go either way. All I will say is that Ares have the playoff experience where Envy don't, and Method also have the playoff experience at Gfinity Elite Series where Excel don't. So I might just have to give the edge to both of the Group B teams there, although I also expect them to lose in the semifinals to Fnatic and Vitality, who I just have at that higher level. Like Fnatic and Vitality they're a level above. Then I've got Method and Ares just below, and then Envy by themselves, and Excel and Hashtag United are really close. And then a bit of a gap to Epsilon, and then the lowest are just Nordavind and Unilad at the bottom. So you guys can let me know what you guys think about these teams. Let me know who you're excited to see. And if you are wanting to tune in to the Gfinity Elite Series, let me just turn off all these scenes. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I've decided to do it like this. Yeah, here's some time zones for you guys. So just write those down. That's the time. It's 10 in the morning where I am. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be casting this from 10 in the morning, so very early morning for me. I don't know if you want to stay up through the night if you're watching this from America, or if you just want to get up super early, it's up to you guys. I'm not gonna complain if you sleep through that, because those are some rough hours. We've not made this friendly to the American viewers, but the reason for that is this is going to get broadcasted live on UK television, so it needs to be a good time for the UK. But yeah, 11 in the morning. That's at Berlin is Central European time, and yeah, kangaroo time. You know, there's a lot of, I don't know, there's lots of kangaroo time zones, so you guys are just gonna have to figure that out. I just googled Sydney, so there's Sydney for you. Anyway, yeah, that's the Gfinity Elite series. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna be casting it for I think 7 of the 8 weeks, and I'm just trying to do this. Bam! Look at that. Graphics, production quality. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be it for my preview video. I'll be sure to come back at the end of the season and see how wrong I was with all of my rankings, see which team surprised me the most, and see which team disappointed the most. But yeah, as always, guys, big thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.